to be present in this team of the students, and especially the engineering unit of AIDSO Central Council. So by the way, I'm Deepthi. I'm based out of Bangalore. I did my engineering here in Bangalore as well, and I've been from the beginning I've been in the IT sector, and specifically on automation. My field is majorly in the software side of it, and I've been building solutions and trying to test and build automation solutions so that we give quality to any kind of product. And like Rahul just introduced, I'm also a science communicator, and I actively, take science sessions for people to integrate, science and society. So that's a very short introduction about me. So the topic today is basically artificial intelligence. From AI, it's not that it was not there all our space. All of us are in the digital world, and especially all of you as students, you'd be able to relate to this topic. So I would say, as engineering students or even science students, or anybody from the field of education, you're not just observers of this new revolution that has happened, but all of you are, architects. Basically, your decisions, your designs, and many of your code, right? Your code will directly shape the future of humanity. So what we'll do today is we'll try to explore the amazing opportunities that AI has brought, it introduces, so that overall, whatever we take from the session, we spread out to our friends and our own colleagues wherever we are. And I think that is also the purpose of this webinar. Now, when we talk about AI, Rahul just mentioned that it's not just a mere science fiction or something like that. So many of you would have watched some English movies where some of these sci-fi robots, right, they dominate these movies. But today, if you look at it at practical engineering terms, AI is mainly about two things. One is intelligent automation and human augmentation. So I'll introduce you to some of these terminologies, and then we can keep going on based on this. Now, when I say automation, what is automation? It's basically, there are machines which are performing tasks which were done manually. Okay. This, as simple as that. Today you have simple automated, cleaners, vacuum cleaners and things like that. These are automation. But intelligent automation is one step ahead, which means that these machines can adapt, they can learn from the data, and then they can make decisions without those explicit step by step programming, that certain instructions in assembly level language, and then it would be instructed for the robot to do whatever it is. But this is one level above. So whatever it plays humans, but it will our capabilities. For example, to say an AI assistant, right? It can help a doctor to analyze the medical scans or something that is there by radiologists, something like that, which any manual labor or human being will miss out, right? So these are the two important terms that you must actually know about it, right? Now, yeah, let's get into some history also, because it's very important to know how this concept evolved. So these seeds of AI, right, they were sown way before computers actually existed. Okay. So if you look at this step-by-step workflow that I code, the birth of AI sometime has happened during the mid 20th century. And there was this Dartmouth workshop that happened in 1956 in the United States. And that is where this word was coined, where many researchers across the globe, they had gathered to explore the possibility of building some thinking machines. Okay, so by this time we had this concept of logical programming, some algorithms which were responsible for problem solving. Okay, however, because of those days the computational power were not that great, so later on in 1980s, some funds that had to come to these universities, automatically that feeling of AI started cooling down, but it did not disappear. In the background, in the underground, many of the researchers were focusing on some of the practical problems. They even started building some mathematical models and things like that. And that is how came the rise of internet, where large amount of data started plunging in. Then AI took a leap at that particular time. Okay, so that is where today when you say AI, you keep hearing some of these terms like machine learning, and especially deep learning. Okay, so these are nothing but you're building algorithms which are capable of learning from massive data sets, which has led to breakthrough in, say, image recognition. So today if you see AI is simply not get into some basic terminologies here. Machine learning. So this is the foundation of artificial intelligence. So machine learning, which is ML, basically is the engine that drives AI. Okay. Unlike earlier where people were writing programs, they were writing instructions. Those rules were dictating what condition, how the system should behave. But machine learning does not behave that way. What we do is we feed a large amount of data. The system there keeps learning. It learns from the patterns and starts making predictions, or it takes decisions from that. And that is what is machine learning. Very simple to understand this. Assume there's a child in your house. When the child is like 3 years, 4 years, you keep talking to the child, right? You don't give them a rule book about how the world works. You don't give them a manual, but you start teaching them with simple examples. You tell them that don't touch this, don't go near the stuff. You write this, you start reading, you start eating this way, and that's how the child also starts learning and adapting. ML, machine learning, is also very similar to that. Now, here there are different types of machine learning. There are three types. I mean, you don't have to get in deeper, but I'm just touching upon it. There is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and then reinforcement learning. Supervised learning is nothing but this is like a teacher. Now, a teacher teaches you something like that, right? So, what happens is you give the algorithm that data with correct input, and you say this is the correct output. So that way it will be able to understand that this is how I must start showing. Simple example: if there is a system, I'm going to show thousands of images of, let's say, cats and dogs, and explicitly I will tell the machine saying that which is which. This is a, let's say, a Pomerian dog. This is a golden retriever. This is a feline cat. This is a Persian cat. This classification I will tell the machine. So that way the machine also starts learning. Okay, this is like a teacher teaching. Unsupervised learning is nothing but the algorithm, the machine which you're working on, it itself will start learning with finding some patterns. There'll be some hidden patterns or something like that. For example, this is a very common example in marketing. Okay, all of you once in your life would have gone to some of these sites like Mintra, Amazon, or Flipkart. Would have bought something there, right? Now, what is happening in the behind this? Amazon, for instance, it is trying to understand the customer, their buying habits. Let's say I'm a kind of person who like to buy books, and books of some particular class category. Like, say for example, science fiction. If I want to buy science fiction books, the company and the system there knows that Deepthi likes to buy such kind of books. So this way it is trying to understand the patterns. This is unsupervised learning. Nobody is training the machine, right? Then the third type of learning here is reinforcement learning. Reinforcement is like trial and error. Something can go okay, something can go wrong. So what happens is that machine, here in this case, we call it as agent. The agent will start interacting with the environment and it'll keep learning. It'll eliminate the bad, it'll pick up the good. Simple example is, many of you would have played chess. Go and try chess AI. Okay, chess AI is like, it's actually a machine where it is adapting on its own. Here there are complex decisions. See, when you play chess, you don't know what move the opposite person is trying to make. There are multiple permutations and combinations. So that way reinforcement learning works in such kind of scenario, right? So this is a very simple introduction of what machine learning is. So everywhere you're training the model with massive amount of data that you're trying to feed here. Now, next concept that you must know is nothing but deep learning. Deep learning, many people confuse between machine learning and deep learning. Deep learning is one level below. Below in the sense, uh, it is basically using the concept of neural networks. All of you know that the human brain is a very complex structure. There are multiple neurons which are responsible to take and send messages across the human body. So deep learning is also based on the concept of human brain. Okay, why is it called deep? If you look at the picture, each of the nodes there is acting like a decision making node, and there are multiple layers there which are responsible for applying certain decision making techniques, right? So, and if you look at this network, this is inspired by the interconnected neurons in our human brain. Okay, if you look at it, the data has to pass between multiple layers in complex features. Like, say, for example, if I have an image and if I have to identify what is this image all about, what will happen is, because it is in layers, the first layer will try to identify the edges. The second layer or the next layer will combine these edges into shapes. The third layer will probably combine shapes into object, and then it will decide that whether it is a photo of, say, a human being or a cat or a dog or something like that. So that is how deep learning works. Now here there are multiple architectures there. I don't want to get into that, but just touching upon, there are CNNs and RNNs, if you would have heard. They are responsible, say, object detection, face recognitions, something like this. And RNNs, for example, many of you would have used chat GPTs. These are using NLPs, natural language processing, right? This is how it goes. Now, some of the most important engineering disciplines where these concepts are used are, like, say, pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is like, you have something, you're trying to identify some common recurring structures in that with the data, where you can probably detect some faults. Say, for example, there is a smart grid system which is responsible for supplying electricity to an entire city. Now, based on the energy consumption patterns across the city, for example, in Delhi, there is a unit where the power supply is happening. And sometimes what happens, in some particular area, the energy consumption is very, very high. So there are certain techniques and systems which we will put in place, which will detect that there is some fault going on there. Why only this place is consuming more? So AI can be applied in such examples also. Then prediction. Prediction is like, you're trying to forecast the future based on some historical data. Like, say, for example, weather. Weather is a very good example. Weather prediction. AI works there. Okay. And then definitely optimization. Like, say, the same example of power distribution that I mentioned, energy distribution via grids. If I know, if I have a simple AI system there, it will be able to distribute equal power in all the areas uniformly. That is how it is. Okay. And many of you would have heard of this concept called as computer vision. Computer vision means there's a computer, you're trying to equip that computer to see and interpret visual information from videos and images, right? So this is an example where, you would have heard of drones, right? Drones may be used to inspect infrastructure. So looking at some area, it will be able to tell whether this is a right place in building some huge building, or let's say if you want to do some industrial setup, this is a good place because there are, it's not going to impact any neighborhoods or something like that. something like that. So computer vision is a classic example here. Now, this another important term that I want to tell you is natural language processing. So all of these are very much connected. So I want to introduce you one by one, and then I would come on to the impact, so societal impact, right? NLP is nothing but it's like you're talking to a machine. Now, this is bridging the gap between human communication and what the computer understands, right? So, the goal is not simply to process human language. So, human language, you know, right? All of us come from different places, different cities, different backgrounds. We come from a very diverse culture. I have a different way to pronounce some sentence in English. My friend would have a different way to pronounce that sentence. But not to worry, the machine is capable enough to interpret in the right way so that it can give you a meaningful result. Okay. So it's not, so NLP is not like rigidly based on how we talk. The same way we don't write. So writing is like rigid. You say today is Friday. So the way I can talk is like Friday. I can simply say Friday. But machine learning concept is not like that. NLP will try to interpret in different ways. Simple example how to tell you is, if I discuss with the machine saying that bank. Now, bank could be a word of a financial institution, like the State Bank of India or Central Bank of India, which is responsible for, depositing people's money and giving it to the government. That is bank. Then there is another meaning of bank, right? You say river bank. This is the Ganga Bank. I'm standing near the Ganga River. So bank word is very ambiguous. It can be it can be interpreted in multiple ways. So this is an example. Context. You have to set a context. For example, it is cold. If say cold, somebody is feeling cold. I'm shivering. It's cold. Or something like the person's behavior is cold. So the context matters. Now all of this NLP actually understands. And how does it understand? Because we're constantly training the system with a lot of data and different model sets. It is trying to simplify. Now, if you look at this workflow that I have actually put, it is very simple. So if I have to talk to a system, simple example is all of us use Gemini or Chat GPT and we're talking to the system there. Say, for example, I ask Chat GPT that please give me a list of restaurants near this area. Simple example, let's say near Chandni Chowk in Delhi. So what it does is first it will try to pre-process. It will extract all the raw text that I'm typing, or if I'm talking today, it even has voice recognition. It will convert those words into raw text. From there, it will try to tokenize. So there then comes the grammars. There are certain rules that run behind something called a syntax analysis, meaning ensuring that whatever I speak is making sense to the system it is trying to build in the background. Okay, so that is where it'll probably go and try to scan some articles in the background, or it'll try to get some existing database from cloud also and try to construct something like that. And then finally, in the end, it will try to analyze what I am trying to say. So it's a long process. You will not realize it. If you talk to Gemini or ChatGPT within few seconds, you will get the answer. But imagine the computation that is going on in the background. It is quite a complex system. And that is what NLP is responsible for, right? Now, very important key applications that you can all understand is same thing. Siri, people who use iPhones, Siri, it's a voice recognition based system. You say, Siri, where am I right now? Give me the location of this place. Immediately it starts talking to you. Amazon's Alexa product. It's another thing. Alexa, switch off the light. If I have Alexa installed in my house, I can do that. And definitely Google Assistant. Google Assistant, you can, you have the system, right? You can turn off the lights, you can turn off this thing. So these are all powered by natural language processing with whatever spoken commands that I'm actually trying to tell here. Okay. And then Google Translate. Translate is a beautiful example. It's a machine learning translation. How many of you use? Please use it. It's really beautiful. Day to day, it is adapting. Earlier, a couple of years back, when I was using it for translation, it was not that great. It's not that it was bad, but then today it has gone to advanced stage where I don't even have to review what I've written. So it is, you put a language, say the English, it will translate it to Hindi or Tamil or whatever language, and you can take it. That is what is responsible for. Then most importantly, chatbots. All of you use Gemini or Chat GPT and Grok or something like that. These are some of these things, and some of these sentiment analysis. So for business people, right, this is very important because that is how they gauge public opinion. Okay, let's say for example, they're trying to sell out a product. They want to understand how the customer actually feels about it. So what they would do is they would go and read social media comments, and they would review those comments there. They would go to Facebook, Instagram, or even Google reviews, try to understand, and that's how they can improve and build their product. Earlier days are gone where they would go to the customers, take feedback, send a form. That is over. Now everything is happening in the background. And definitely search engines is an old concept. Everybody would today go to Google and search. Today that also has reduced because people are using the chatbots and things like that. That is there. So this is the overall concept of what NLP is at this point. The most interesting part where I and you are interested and in our day-to-day application is Gen AI. Gen AI is nothing but generative AI that we call it. So generative AI is simply not analyzing. What is beautiful here, it is creating something new, entirely original, that will sound like it is as if it is produced by humans altogether, right? So here also what it does is it is learning from the patterns, it is learning from the structures of all the kinds of data sets that are available, so that it is able to generate some output out of it. Okay, so think of this as AI that can imagine something and build. Okay, it's not simply retrieving information, but it is trying to synthesize, bringing something new altogether. Okay, so look at this photo that I'm showing. So I will tell the prompt. So prompt is nothing but your communication with the AI system. So today I would talk to the prompt saying that generate an image of a man who will be in a futuristic city with a style of a science fiction movie. And finally, it gives me a photo, which you're seeing here, with some very, fancy stuff behind. There may be flying cars, there will be lush vertical gardens and things like that. That is what is generative AI all about. Okay. So see, if you look at traditional AI systems, right? If there are images, it will just classify. This is one image, this is another image, class, this is of this category, this is of that category. But here you're training to generate something entirely new. Okay. And this is a classic example of how we use Gemini or Chat GPT. Like, say, for example, today I can open my phone and I can tell Chat GPT or Gemini to tell me that please write a short story for me about a detective who solves a murder mystery, or who solves a mystery about some ancient Indian proverbs, something like that, right? So what AI will do is it will not go and search some story from there. It itself has some base. It will generate a language, it will narrate a story, it will set one plot with all the detectives around it, and maybe with Indian proverbs, it will unite a completely new unique story with whatever request that you're placing. So that is the power of generative AI. Okay. So now these realistic images and videos that are coming, you can even create music. You can even design some proteins for drug discovery. So that is the power of generative AI. Now let's come back to our day-to-day usage. Simple examples that I would say. How many of you write emails? Many of you write emails, right? So when you type an email, automatically it is giving you some auto suggestions or something like that, where you don't even have to type. So these are smart replies and email drafting. So this is where generative AI is helping. And then, for example, personalized content. Many of you would have used these OTT platforms like these Geo Hotstar or Netflix or Amazon Prime, right? Spotify. These are classic examples where traditional AI will not work. So traditional AI will just recommend, say for example, in Spotify I listen to songs or podcasts or something like that, depending on my taste. Generative AI, what it will do is it will generate my own personalized news feeds. It will create a unique playlist based on the mood that I am, and even probably compose even short musical pieces to heal me, something like that. So this, to that extent we have gone at this particular time. Then search engines that I told you, right? So unlike you're using this Google or Bing, which is of Microsoft, you will only get a set of links. But today, when you go, it is actually a chatbot. You can actually see a chatbot which will give you a follow-up question. So I ask something, it will give me the answer, and then I can go back to it. It's as if I'm talking to a friend. So this is enhanced search and information retrieval that I'm trying to do. Then next important this thing is for people like us who are engineers, those who are working, it can generate code snippets. So these days, even in IT, right, many people don't write code from scratch. It can build frameworks, it can build packages. You just have to copy paste it and then try to run the code. It can even build your pipelines so that you know what code you're actually trying to write. Okay. And then definitely today, if you see movies and things like that, it can generate some voiceovers, some synthetic media and other things. It will start coming. These are certain examples that I can actually state for the generative AI. Powerful, right? So I want to particularly emphasize this use case in healthcare because but I work in healthcare, and most importantly, all of us are going to hospitals, so you must know where effectively it is used, especially in the Indian context. So medical diagnosis and image analysis, if you look at it today, if you go to the hospital, you take your CTs, MRIs, ultrasound, or even X-rays for that matter, right? So there, what people do is once it is taken, the radiologists and other people, they will come with so many such images, okay, of all these kinds, and the complex data. Now, to interpret, a human can go wrong. So this is where AI's role comes in. So the one that I mentioned, CNN deep learning, right? These are uh, fantastic examples of how it will detect pattern recognition. So, for example, if I have a broken wrist and I've gone and taken an X-ray, the AI system that is integrated to my X-ray will be able to spot some subtle anomalies, or say, it can even probably detect an early sign of a disease before it even develops. So there are certain strides. There are AI models which are used to detect some diabetic retinopathy. Retinopathy is the eye. If you go get an eye scan of the retina scan that you get, you'd be able to detect whether after a couple of years you'd be able to catch diabetes or not, something like that. Or even early signs of say, mammograms that are done. You can even predict the early signs of breast cancer, or even the tiny lesions that you have in the brain scans, right? That can even detect that there is some sort of epilepsy that might develop. So these are like early stages. And this is particularly impactful in remote areas where there is limited access to healthcare, especially in India, right? So some of these AI-powered diagnostic tools, if you bring it in the primary healthcare centers, it will help these early screenings, and it can even protect people from getting into diseases from progressing there, right? And the second example, which is very, very, I would say, revolutionizing in the entire world, is the drug discovery. See, any drug that you take, right, if it has to come to the market, it takes about 10 years, and that is including research. And the amount of money that you spend in bringing out a drug is very, very expensive. Okay. So that is just one drug, and that has very high failure rates. So they'll have to do a lot of clinical trials and everything if to bring some medicine out in the market. Now this is where AI can actually help. Okay, how it can do is, see, any drug that you have, right, it is based of certain chemical composition. What AI would do is it would go to the vast amount of available chemical and biological data sets to predict which compounds are mostly like to bind together, so that it can narrow down the potential of the possible drug molecule. This combination can give you a drug molecule with, so that it can prevent this kind of a disease, and it is already there. It's just about accessibility. People are making strides there altogether. And then the drug part of it, like say for example, AI today, it can simulate how a drug will interact with the human body, and it will probably predict the possible side effects that can come in the development process. And this way it will reduce a lot of time and resources in this process. And definitely, like I mentioned, clinical trials. So it can identify patients, cohorts for, like say, clinical trials. So that way you'd be able to predict the patient response to different kinds of treatments they undergo. And this way it can optimize and reduce the time altogether, right? Then next example that you see in the slide is precision medicine. Precision medicine is nothing but personalized medicine. See, each of our human body is unique. Every patient is unique. Okay. What works for one person may not work for another person. Okay. And why that happens? That is because of our genetic makeup that we have, the kind of lifestyle that we're exposed to, the kind of environment that we see, and we may even have some specific, symptoms or diseases that we carry. Now, where AI comes and helps you here is it can analyze the patient's genetic profile. Okay, for how do they do that? They use some DNA sequencing data. It can do that, and it can go into the electronic medical records. You call it as EMRs or health records. It can go to my previous health records. It can go and analyze all that, and lifestyles. Lifestyle, typically people use these watches and all. No, they would track their number of step count, how much of water they drink, or something of that sort. It can start pulling these data. With this, it will actually give you a point that people should not go to doctor. That is not what I'm saying, but it can help medical professional take decision which is not possible uh, right now. Okay, and definitely administrative efficiency. After that, the form goes to somebody else, and then after that you admit the patient. All that will go away. This is like an end-to-end connected care flow right from emergency to the person who's getting discharged. That entire workflow will be taken with AI. This way, how it does is, like, for example, today you don't need a person to take notes. The doctor is trying to tell a patient that this problem is there. Earlier, one person would sit and make notes. Now that is not required. There are certain medical scribes that the patient doctor conversations are recorded, and automatically summary is generated as to what is happening, right? This is another example. And then definitely you have chatbots, you have virtual assistants. That today you have to go to a hospital, say, this Manipal hospital or something like that. You can go and book the appointment with the chatbot. You don't have to call or something. You have that app, you book it, immediately you'll be able to get that remote. And yeah, the next example is robotic surgery. I think one example that I last time took it with the Karnataka team was here in Bangalore. There's this hospital called Jaydeva Hospital, and they're doing this robotic surgeries. Okay, this is again on the concept of AI, and this is uh, and it has good amount of success rates as well. So this is coming across different hospitals in the country. I know one example in Bangalore, so that is what I'm trying to just suggest in this case. So this is how AI in healthcare, one particular use case that I wanted to actually suggest here. Now, in our day-to-day lives, I think I've already brought out, but I just want to touch upon some of these examples that are there. So, all of you have smartphones. You are using your, Google Assistant. Say, for example, hey Google, please set the alarm for 9:30 a.m. in the morning, something for me to go for a walk. I can instruct that. Or say I have Alexa in my house. I can say, Alexa, please play my morning playlist. I want to do something like that. These are certain digital assistants that we call, right? All of you use that. And then many of you would have used these Ola, Uber, Google Maps for traveling and things like that. So AI here is also trying to process a large amount of real-time data to say that, in this particular road you don't go because there is so much of traffic congestion. So instead you take a shorter route, it will help you so that you can reach the destination very quickly. And then many of you would have seen these Uber and Ola apps. Sometimes during monsoon time, the prices suddenly goes up. And that is only because of the AI algorithms. It's not that somebody sitting and changing that, because the fare there is changed based on the demand of the drivers and also the traffic condition. That's why the fares go up. And all of this is because of the AI model that is there. Okay. And another example that I told you here was Netflix or Spotify, Amazon. Many of you use these content, the kind of history that what you have used. Based on that, it will give you the viewing list, the playlist, and things like that. It will give you, this is a right kind of movie, you will like it, and things like that. Okay. And then social media feeds, most importantly, on you would have used YouTube and Instagram and all. The kind of posts and videos that you watch, similarly, such kind of past interactions, you will get something and you'll keep scrolling and then you'll be engaged. That is what they do. And then definitely in your Google Mail and all, if you use, you have spam filters, so that if you're getting some promotional emails and all that, it will go sit in that spam folder. That is how it is. And then financial services, banking applications, if you use, this is very important. AI continuously monitors your banking transactions and your credit card. Everything is monitored. Okay, so it can detect there is some fraud or some if you're doing some insider trading and things like that, it will do that. AI is also, if you go check your spending habits, it will show you've spent so much money on only buying shopping this month. All of these are the algorithms that are there, AI algorithms, right? And then most importantly for education, many of your students, AI can adapt educational content and exercises for your individual learning, okay, based on your strengths and weaknesses. So this is very, very, helpful in this case. And definitely many of you would have used these smart watches, right? Those Fitbit and those noise and all those things. It will analyze the heart rate, your sleep patterns, and then it will suggest you what it is. Again, I'm saying, whenever I'm giving example of healthcare information, please don't just depend on AI. Go to a doctor, go and consult it, because uh, this is not the right way to assess what you are having at this particular time. So the last part of the slide that I want to bring is the ethical consideration. So Rahul also in his introduction, he just mentioned that we have this technology, but there are certain challenges that are there in the system. And it comes with any technology. It's not that this is new to AI, but even earlier when computers were there, people were bringing these ethical condition. But specifically talking about AI, the first important article that came last year was bias and discrimination. So there was this company, one example I'm just giving, which was actually trying to screen resumes of people. Okay, so what it did was it was collecting resumes. So people like us would apply jobs on Naukri.com or Monster, Times Job, or even LinkedIn for that matter. So these resumes would go and sit in the system. There was no human there to go and screen those resumes. Rather, the company had set up an agent. Agent is a machine, AI agent, which was responsible for screening. Now, what it did was it was screening resumes, and finally they found that this agent was not selecting women. It was only selecting male employees. So this is where the bias actually was identified. So how do we ensure that AI is treating everyone equally and equitably, irrespective of their background, gender, or race, or something like that? Okay, and there was another concern that had raised where the AI engine for some particular investigation was trying to analyze some pictures of some criminals. Okay, and there what it did was it was trying to identify only uh, people from a darker skin. Okay, so this way that model was trained, and people who are much fairer or a lighter skinned people were completely eliminated. So this was like unfair arrests and misidentifications were happening. They were going and arresting wrong people. So this is another failure of the AI system. The next example, I mean, the next ethical concern that Rahul also brought it about was about the data security and privacy. Okay, look, all of our information is out there on the internet, including our bank account and the Aadhaar card IDs that are there. Everything is out on the internet. And these are personal, confidential, and sensitive. Okay. Suddenly, if you remember last year, some of these Aadhaar IDs had come out openly in public. And people were raising question that how such data can get breached even without the person's, consent. That is not right altogether. So this is a classic example where there is an ethical concern. Now, another problem is mass surveillance. Now, imagine AI system, right? There are certain facial recognition, there are certain analysis. Now, you put them out in the public, and it knows who you are, where you were yesterday, what you were doing. Now, this is like completely breach of your freedom. Tomorrow, somebody can come and catch you for no reason altogether, right? So that is another problem. This power of data for AI development. How are we trying to protect individual privacy and preventing misuse of it? Okay. The next point is the transparency. Now, see, I'm talking to an agent. It is completely a black box. I don't care about the algorithms. I'm only interested to get the answer. Today, I'm talking to Google Gemini. I say, give me this place. I want to check out the restaurant. Now, what's happening in the background? I have no idea. That is what is called as a black box. Black box is like, it's like you have no idea about what is the internal transaction that are happening. So, for example, Tesla car is a driverless car. Okay, they're trying to bring it up in the India, but it is not allowed because we have our own concern. But in US, when they brought it initially, there were many accidents that were reported. Now, the accident has happened. Okay, now whom are you going to catch? Are you going to catch Tesla, or are you going to catch the AI agent which is developed by company A, or are you going to catch the engine developer which was developed by some other manufacturing? Because when you build a product, it is a collaboration of multiple such companies. Now, who's going to take accountability of the person who's gone and faced the accident there, right? This is a classic example. Another example, medical diagnosis. Now, something happens when you're diagnosing some medical condition. Who is responsible? Is the doctor responsible, the radiologist responsible, or the person who built the system? Now, there is no clear cut accountability there. So in decision making is a big problem. The next most spoken about is job displacement. Okay, AI driven automation. Being in automation, I understand what is the challenge. I mean, I'm talking about basic automation. It drives out a lot of manual labor, and because some of these tasks can be automated quickly so that you can increase productivity. But the problem is in manufacturing industries, robots are there, AI is continuously coming and taking over the assembly line work. And similarly, customer service. People earlier, you would call one BPO, say, please help me get this. Today, chatbots are coming, all their jobs are gone. And some of these data entry jobs, right? All of that is gone because AI can take care of it. Now, here the question is, how do we manage this transition to AI-powered economy, which can minimize this social disruption, like say job losses, or provide opportunities for people for reskilling and things like that. That is another problem. Then last concern that all of us are going through is misinformation, manipulation, and malicious use, like say fake news that is coming. You would have heard of this word called as deep fakes. Somebody's photo, I mean, your photo is used in some other purpose altogether, which was never even done, and it is used to defame you, or instigate some fraud or some political destabilization, something of that sort, and is already happening. And today there is a mass production of fake news that is going on. Some article that comes up, everybody thinks that is true. WhatsApp messages come saying that this is true, that is true. But who's validating it? Now, the ethical question here again is, who is distinguishing between the AI generated content and what humans, as humans, we are generating that. So this is a question for undermining, the trust, the very sole purpose of democracy that we live in. And and most importantly, security. How do we actually visualize that? And that is a problem that we are seeing together. And I want to bring one last point is this autonomous systems like this self-driving cars or drones, or for example, that I'm trying to give examples. Now, how is it trying to set boundaries between, especially when question of human lives come, and especially when fundamental rights are at stake? Today we have seen many wars. Some of these systems are used now. You say that you want to target the other kind of people, but how who are you to take a decision like that? Because at the end, majority 99%, it is the common people who are suffering, right? So this is where the key responsibility comes for we as engineers and as a system, that how we are trying to build this ethics that we are trying to talk about, right? So in terms of, say, like say the governance model that Rahul also spoke, right? The are we having a governing system within our own country which is taking care of all of these problems, like say it is mitigating the bias, discrimination? Is it giving you transparency of data, even if there is some problem that is going on? And even security for that matter, something comes up, right? These things can happen. And most importantly, right, these responsibilities, we as professionals, as communities, as students, how well we are understanding these concepts, and how much are we making other people aware of the advantages and the ethical concerns that AI is trying to build across the society. So, with this, I just want to sum up. I want to talk more, but I want to invite questions. Being an engineer in the age of AI means it's like taking ownership of technology's full end-to-end life cycle, from conception, from building that model from the scratch to the social impact. So it's all about the conscious AI building technique that not only works efficiently for productivity, but it also contributes to a fair, safe, and a just society. I think with this, I will stop. So over to you, Rahul.
Thank you very much, Deepti. As I can see in the chat box, there are no questions which has been asked
Okay.
in detail. Beside this, I want to just ask one question of mine.
Yeah.
I will place it in Hindi for our Hindi speaking audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
इस तरीके से सभी काम को बहुत आसानी से एआई के ऊपर डिपेंड होकर उसका सॉल्यूशन ले पाते हैं, उसको निकाल लेते हैं। यहाँ तक से बहुत इजीली ड्रॉ कर सकते हैं। लेकिन इन सब के बीच एक सवाल ये है कि जो थिंकिंग एबिलिटी जिस तरीके से धीरे धीरे आज ह्यूमन का जो थिंकिंग एबिलिटी है ये बहुत ब्लंट होता जा रहा है। हर चीज के लिए एआई के ऊपर एक डिपेंडेंसी बन जा रही है और बहुत इजीली हम उसको सॉल्यूशन और एक प्रिसाइज सॉल्यूशन की ओर देख पा रहे हैं। तो इसको कैसे हम बैलेंस कर सकते हैं कि कहीं ना कहीं हमारा जो थिंकिंग फैकल्टी है ये भी हैम्पर ना हो और हम एआई को एक बेहतर ढंग से इस्तेमाल कर सकें। तो एक बैलेंस तरीके से हम इसको कैसे देख सकते हैं, ये मेरा सवाल है।
Okay, okay, sure. Rahul, I got a question. So, in this, what happens is, See, point क्या है का जो use AI industry relation, but copy paste that code from here run the code. That's not good. That is not good because you're not thinking, because there your objective is to solve the problem. But even without thinking, if you're just doing it, you might give way to an error then. So think of AI as a highly intelligent assistant that can gather information for you, it can summarize for you, it can help you brainstorm and perform some tedious tasks. So your role there is to remain like the driver. You're the pilot of the aircraft. Finally, you have to make the decisions and provide direction. The AI will give you multiple kinds of inputs, but वहां पे सही गलत का फर्क आपको करना पड़ेगा. That is what is your role there, right? And see, most importantly, right, what I would say is practice. Sometimes you have to practice, I would say, AI free zones. Okay, sometimes, see, today information is in your hands. You get for anything you're going. See, before turning to AI, I would say try to solve that problem by your own ideas. This will strengthen your own independent thinking. Otherwise, what will happen, this will give way to blindness. Okay, every time you will create dependency. So for example, I would say dedicate some specific time or task where you intentionally get involved rather than picking up AI's help. Okay, this could be as simple as, dedicating 1 week, in a week, say one particular 2 hours where you just think creatively, start writing things. Writing really really helps, most importantly in this place, right? That is one example that I would do. And see, it's not like we are always communicating with machines. What is most important today in the world of digital era is engaging in human centric activities. Collaborate with people, form groups. आपके जो ग्रुप हैं, आपके जो कम्युनिटी है, AIDSO काउंसिल, यहाँ पे सब ग्रुप्स होंगे. You will have communities, you will have committees. You start engaging in discussions, debates, bring out new ideas. So this human interaction will help you in bringing some critical thinking. Diverse perspectives will come. This way you will articulate your reasoning, and tomorrow you will also start seeing some nuances. If AI is giving you some answer and you're not satisfied, you can actually work with that model. So this is one way to look at it, Rahul. And last importantly, I would say is, teachers or lecturers or something like that, right? You give assignments to students where their thinking faculty and the reasoning will be required. And that is how you will actually teach the students not to rely on AI. You will teach them where to use AI properly, so that, okay, they can take some peer help. Today AI is my friend. I'm not going, it is not like some guru or something. Whatever here the system tells, I will just pick up and then start putting things. Nothing like that. But try to use of it, make use of it in a creative way. Creative thinking should not get destroyed. If that goes, then that's a problem, Rahul. So this is how I would like to sum it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So friends, now we are at the end of our discussion. So today we have explored the transformative power of artificial intelligence, how it is revolutionizing engineering innovations. Also, it is setting new milestone in the healthcare field. Also, we have unlocked some of the most important questions which is coming to our mind regarding the artificial intelligence. And as our speaker has covered almost all the details regarding the working of artificial intelligence, so it has been very much helpful for everyone to know more about the use of AI and in which way we can make a best use of this artificial intelligence in our work. So I hope this webinar is very much helpful for our participants to know more about artificial intelligence and will also help to explore more about AI in future. So with this, we will conclude our today's webinar and with the promise that in future, we will continue more with our discussions related to engineering challenges, new explorations. So this is for all or for today's webinar. So once again, I thanks to our speaker, Ms. Deepthi, for a wonderful discussion. discussion, and all the participants who are very patiently listening for this discussion and has participated in this. So we will be providing with a participation certificate to all the participants of today's webinar. So this is an end. So with all good wishes, we end our discussion. Goodbye to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.